10:4. At Seek, annual notice having been forwarded to the New Jersey Herald and the New Jersey Sunday Herald and posted on the bulletin board maintained in the municipal building for public announcement. Would you please rise and join me in a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call roll.
Mr. Shirella,
Here.
Mr. Diamond,
Here.
Mr. Academy,
Here.
Ms. Crock,
Here.
Councilman Kuzinich.
Here.
Mr. Mazelewski.
Here.
Mr. Rossi.
Here.
Chairman Wright.
Here.
Ms. Snow, Mr. Taylor,
Here.
Mr. Wagner, Mayor Galati. Here.
Okay, a motion is in order to approve the minutes of the June 17th meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Mr. Shirella,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Academy,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Councilman Kuzinich.
Yes.
Chairman Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati. Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is resolutions. We have one. Kelly O'Malley. The hearing date was June 3rd, 2025, 34 Elba Ave, to installation of a fence. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make the motion. I'll second. Second.
Mr. Shirella,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Academy,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Councilman Kuzinich.
Yes.
Chairman Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati. Yes.
Okay, next item is correspondence. Wait a minute, nothing. Okay. Next item is escrow refunds. We have none this month. Next item is bills. Motions in order to pay the bills, Mont McDonald, Dolan and Dolan, and New Jersey Herald. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Shirella,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Academy.
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Councilman Kuzinich.
Yes.
Chairman Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Galati. Mr. Taylor, Mayor Galati.
I don't know, Mr.
Well, I know him, but he's not.
All right, next item is the zoning officer report. Got anything, Bill? No. Perfect. Discussion, any discussion?
Sorry.
No. No discussion, old business. Do we have any old business? New business, do we have any new business? Okay. All right, continued applications, we have no continued applications, onto new applications. The first new application is Daphne Lake and Dowdy Zaki, lot 30904, lot 18, 237 Hudson Ave. Somebody here, Beth?
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Good evening,
Bill,
will
sorry,
probably be testifying, so for the end, please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
And your name first one,
Daphne Lake.
Daphne Lake?
Yes.
Okay, so your property?
Yes.
That was exactly.
And your property. Can you tell the board what it is you'd like to do?
We are trying to put a driveway in where we currently have a parking lot up on the top near Hudson Avenue. On Hudson Avenue, and we would like to make that a parking. Driveway that goes down to the kitchen door for easier access for myself and my husband, since we're disabled now. And I can't do the stairs at all. The second portion is to put an extension on for storage with a deck on the top. Little stairs that go down to the lake side of the property.
That storage area, is that going to be open under that, it's not the open area for storage, you want to close it or?
It
We'll have
will be
access
enclosed.
door and
We
window.
don't have an access door. And then the third portion is a deck off the side of the house that would connect to the deck over the storage with a little ramp. I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible. My husband and I are both disabled and we have my brother-in-law is quadriplegic and we would like to start helping to take care of him.
And the fourth part, basically
The dock.
the dock. We need to rebuild the same length, but we need to extend it like 2 foot wide. It's 14 foot now and would like to be 16 feet. Is that possible?
You have a note on your plan here. It says dock being rebuilt under permit number. But that's not the case. You're coming in tonight to ask for a variance to widen it by.
If we
2
did
feet.
get the space, permit first,
Right.
and after that, we decided that we gonna build it. You know, we can extend it like 2 feet wide.
Okay.
So Mr. Bill invites us to apply for a variant in that case.
This proposed deck you have on here, that's basically going right to the property line, and then
No, it's gonna be 1.5 feet from the property line.
From the existing fence that's there. then.
over this or over this?
There's a fence.
Oh, yeah, it looks like. So you, what, I don't have your letter here.
So there was a,
Okay.
Explain, yeah.
there was a March letter that was issued with the original application filing and plans by the original engineer on the project. That was then addressed with revisions and a response primarily on the concerns of the driveway. You know, my letter reflected the same variances and existing nonconformities that Bill's zoning assessment had. And I had a little lack of clarity that all 5 of the areas of improvement were still part of the application. The original drawing focused on only the driveway. The technical design comments I had on the driveway, particularly the retaining wall, was originally in an L shape to the property line. And my review indicated it was gonna need to be a U shape coming back up the property line to keep a clear line with the break and grade to the neighbor, which to the north. Those revisions were addressed, as well as concerns with keeping some curbing along that property line to drain the new driveway directly through the property, over the wall and through the rear. Those plans were then rescinded by the engineer and then reaffirmed by a new engineer that the block design would be maintained and that he could certify the retaining wall and the length of the construction. So those technical comments were all satisfied to me. I didn't reissue another letter.
Okay,
Just brought that in testimony here for that.
okay. So they complied with everything you asked for.
Yeah, the technical comments were limited to the driveway, but I'm confident now that the redesign will address that. And then the rest of it is really just factually on existing nonconformities and requested variances for the setback on the side deck and the size of the proposed rebuild on the dock.
Okay.
And our report from our engineer's drawings are on, and it's dated November 25th. Did we get anything after that? We got this over.
Well, so there was the original November drawings that I reviewed in my March letter. And then there was a revision based on my report. But my understanding is the engineer is not working with the applicant anymore, so they were able to bring in a second engineer, AJ Engineering.
So it looks like this.
Yes, it's
Oh,
a
that-
short,
that's right.
a short
Okay, got it.
engineering statement
Got it.
on the wall
Yes, okay.
and
Sorry.
certifying
She said down.
that the
please, sit
design would be
Thank you.
maintained.
Please.
Okay.
So yes, we have the November drawing. We skip over the revision 1 by ADW Engineering, and then we replace it with
Thank you.
AJ Engineering to satisfy the comment.
So the drawings, for the wall, he's certifying those walls and.
Right, so as it goes to construction permits, the AJ Engineering would be the engineer of record, using the manufacturer's details, and
Okay.
then anything over the 4 feet will deal with the stability
Okay.
certifications from him. Directly to our construction. company.
I mean, is there a reason why you can't bring that deck in a little bit further with the property line? I mean, it's very close to the property line.
There is a fence, we're not even approaching, like 1.5 feet. You know,
So what is the normal, are we looking for a
No, that
variance
would
for
be a
that?
side yard setback, so, how wide is the property?
There's a 15-foot side yard setback line shown on
Yeah,
the plan.
15, because it's not, we're over 80, so it'd be 15 feet.
I mean, my brother is like quadriplegic,
Okay.
and I mean,
I
if he was
understand.
there, I'm just like, I'm not gonna be able to take him out in like 3 foot, place.
And anything between the end of where we ended that in the fence would then be like dead space.
I mean, is there a way to get around there, I mean, without building that deck all the way to the front, where you're going there, like access to the rear of the property?
First of all, it's not gonna hold like any drainage water or whatever, so because it's gonna be like, it's not like.
You know, what
Cover.
Bobby's trying to do is to get your variance down a little bit,
Get it off.
get it off the
Yeah,
property line a little bit.
We'll be flexible, we're sure.
So it's about 21 feet wide from the building and its widest and
Right.
15.
I mean, if you knock it down to like 16 foot instead of 21 foot.
Why would you say, I mean,
Okay,
And that would give,
Yeah,
you
it's like
that would
you-
give you
I mean-
about 10 feet in the shorter section. It would be like
the only
10 feet.
thing is like there's gonna be like dead space, I mean.
Well, why don't you require a minimum side yard setback on that side?
Yeah, 5 feet.
5 feet.
5 feet.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm looking, that's. what
I
I'm
get it,
looking
it's the, dead space, but you don't wanna encroach. Normally, we don't let you go right to the property line with anything other than a fence.
I just would like enough room so that my brother-in-law's on the deck with his wheelchair, he can
Yeah.
make turns and, you
I mean, you'll
know.
still have 16 feet there,
Okay.
which is.
How close is the house on that side? Where is the house?
Well, it'll be going right through how far away from the property?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it would be 21 feet, cause
Yes,
it's butting up to the house and it's going out.
the way. it
Yeah,
was-
no, I
the
mean,
way
the
it
neighbor's,
dimensioned.
house on the other.
Yeah, I don't know how
On
close.
the
it
right
is.
side, it's not depicted, then if the neighbor's house was right on top of it, it would have a greater effect.
That's right away, maybe.
No, there's a driveway at that.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, all right,
That would be part of your consideration.
Right.
for-
okay. This is
The distance.
driveway between, okay.
I mean, as far as the storage room, that's gonna be underneath and it's just gonna have a deck on top and nothing else.
No, nothing about that.
Okay. All right, any questions of the applicant?
Storage room gonna be enclosed? Are you talking about enclosing it or just putting it under the deck?
It's just gonna have like a window and a door and that's it.
Not gonna be living space.
No.
Strictly-
We have enough living space.
No heat, no nothing,
No.
just dry space. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
He said he was lower from the 6.
Yeah, so 5 foot does that. All right, seeing none, I'll open this application to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this application? Got one?
Yeah,
Right up, right up.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry. It's for the testimony about to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, I do. And your name, sir, please? Richard Gary. Spell your last name? Gary.
We're very pleased that the Zackeys are going to, improve the property, but want to make sure we understand the impact on us. We're on the driveway side of that. When we installed the retaining wall in 2014 and then the fence in 2016 on the property line, we reviewed both projects with the Zackeys. This project was never discussed with us. I mean, it would have been just common courtesy just to say, hey, look, this is what we're gonna do. The only thing that was discussed was when we did the retaining wall, Dowdy had said, he'd really visioned a patio there. For his daughter and, really wanted it, which we were very happy with. And because of the elevation, we even offered to help them build it, if that was the case, but I would have liked, like I said, the first we heard about any of this was in the package, in the zoning meeting. My concern is with the correct lot line, on that side. So before the retaining wall installation, we had disagreement of the lot line on that side. He believed it was not correct. It was been a contentious point since the beginning of the property, since we've had it, and we understand after we bought that there was a dispute with the prior owner that was never disclosed to us by the real estate from there. I shared at the time that what we wanted was let the survey companies talk together and I'll abide by whatever they did. So over the period of time, we certified copies, and I have them if you're interested in them. I have a certified copy of my survey from 2012. There were two other surveys that Mr. Zaki gave us from 73 and 14. And the line coming down the driveway seems okay. I mean, that seems to be in it, but it's the front corner by the garage that seems to be out of whack. And when we built everything next to the garage, we got everything done. We left the fence in an additional foot from what we believe the property line. In the zoning package, if you look at that, there's a real discrepancy between what that shows and all of the other comments. I've got a bunch of data. I'll save you from that. But I called the survey company. It was the same survey company that did that yesterday, as soon as I could. And they said that there was a note in the file that there was a discrepancy between them. I talked to the person today. He said that it was in the Zaki's favor in that front, but it's still a disagree. I disagree with, based on everything that they were looking at. There are pins, nails that are shown in that survey that aren't there. The measurements that are in the survey in that front corner are not there. But again, I want to state that has no bearing on what happens in the back. It's really just that front 4-foot section of fence. I just like to make sure that that's correct, and if it's not correct, and I'm on his property, I will have that moved onto my property. Okay. My question, as we go through this, so again, I'm meeting with the surveyor on Monday. It's as soon as we could get together, and then we'll resolve that, and then we'll get that, set up, and again, whatever they all agree to. My major question is, just so I'm better educated, number one, does that survey discrepancy come into play in this at all? Again, it's not in the area in question, it's in the front, so that's up to you if that kind of comes to play. But what are my rights in the variance? Is it the size of the deck? Is it the height of the deck? Because what we originally talked about, or what was shared with us, was an on-grade patio, and now this is high, when you can then, depending on the height, you can look over our fence and into our property. I don't know. I mean, I know many properties that have no fence in between, you can look in between them, right?
I mean, you're here to voice your
Yeah.
opinion on the application, so
Yeah.
whatever
Okay.
you don't like or you do like, you're free to.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing to me is limitations on the length of the project, how long will it take? And the condition of the property during that. And then, particularly afterwards, because our standards, quite honestly, of how we keep our property are not the same. They're not the same, and I'd like to understand just what that will look like during the construction. And then afterwards to make sure that we have that, that we keep it up to the proper,
We probably can't help you a lot in that, they can choose their own contractor, and the contractor's time is the contractor's time. You heard the board members discuss the setback of the deck and asking if the plan be revised, so there's a minimum 5-foot setback to provide some buffer in there. So the variance is applicable to your concern, is the setback of the deck, not the height, but the setback side from the common lot line. In terms of discrepancy, we're looking at the survey map that the applicant provided. It's dated November 14th, 2024, prepared by Lakeland Surveying. There's some revisions after that, but they're not pertinent to what they're talking about right now. In his survey, note nail and washer found on Joe's Greenaway up by the garage. So obviously there's a couple of surveys here.
yeah, I've got copies if you want to see that.
If we,
No, I don't think, what you're doing, Bill, is not,
Yeah.
the stuff in question is nowhere near this area that.
Correct.
they're concerned. And
Yeah.
he said he's willing to move his fence if it is in fact on the neighbor's property, so.
Right, so anything would be Yeah, I don't see it being harmed, regardless of this, except for your concern about setback.
So we just to clarify,
That's the height of it, and that's only because we need a wheelchair to go in and out of the door.
So basically the deck is gonna match that door on the side of the house. That's, I mean, is that what I'm getting? So, I mean, is that okay with you? I mean, do you,
I don't know, do I have a choice? I mean.
well, you can certainly
Well,
voice your,
to the extent of screening, so just to clarify, your property is the southerly property,
Correct.
lot 17.
Correct.
Okay, because when you said the driveway side, there's driveways on.
Oh, yeah,
both
my
sides.
driveway abuts to their lot.
Right, so. The board has to trust the certifications of the professionals on the submitted documents. Can only work off of what's been submitted to them. We could acknowledge that there might be a dispute. In fact, I am in a similar situation on Thursday night on my own property in my town. But the evidence is, our attorney was noting, that's shown on the plan. Shows pins on the property line in 3 of the 4 corners, including. At that corner, the greenway pin, which is referred to for lot 19 on the opposite side. But they are, Lakeland is referencing surveys, 2 surveys of lot 17 by Curtis Williams in 71, as well as themselves surveying in 2012. So I would imagine
2012 is when they did it for me.
when they did it for you.
And I have copies of those surveys,
Okay.
pictures if you want them, but what's on that sheet does not match what's there. Number one, the pin that would be in the driveway, and that was replaced when we did the sewer. The pin that was there and the survey that was done in 2014, before we did the retaining wall, was done by Mr. Zaki's surveyor, and the pin was there, it's still there.
Okay.
Actually, that one was taken out with the sewer, but I have pictures of where it was in relation to the garage.
So, I mean, it sounds like the survey dispute is essentially internal to Lakeland's office,
Correct.
because it's between the survey they certified to you and the survey they certified to your neighbor, the applicant.
Correct.
So I think that could be reconciled privately by Lakeland. The concern would then be what would then be perceived as an encroachment of lot 17's wall into this property, and the discussion of the side yard impact of the height of that deck with the requested variance, and then whether or not it would be appropriate to put some kind of
Screening on that.
screening wall, right, like double-sided boarded
Yeah.
screening wall or something to the deck, a privacy wall to the deck.
There is a 6-foot fence above. Basically the driveway, with the driveway, it's like 2 foot high,
yeah,
so we're talking about 8-foot length,
And I believe our
so if.
step is
Wait.
okay, keep going.
So basically, I don't see any problem with the height itself, like, I mean, usually the maximum is like 6. No, he has like, his height, it's like.
Is that 6 foot along that top of that deck, will that
It's
satisfy
6
your?
foot above the driveway, that's where the 6 foot starts,
And-
so Mr. Zaki's correct, it steps down on the other side.
Is that level to the door exiting the dwelling at that deck, the proposed
The
deck?
door is like probably 1.5, so it's still
Lower.
yeah, lower, so basically, when you put the deck, it's gonna be 6-foot fence.
So the
Okay.
deck would come to essentially the bottom of the existing vinyl fence.
So you have a 6 foot.
So you have a
6 foot
6 foot visual, right?
And I mean, obvious with a 5-foot area now, we're gonna have to put trees or something,
It would make Julie very happy to have, some kind of a natural area there.
We wanna make everybody happy here.
We love what they're, this is a good thing.
All right, are you okay with that?
Yeah, if we
Okay.
keep the 5-foot setback,
Okay.
I think that's fine, and as long as we still have that 6 foot, then I'm fine with that.
Okay,
6 foot of visual screening.
so that's all you got?
Yeah, the question again would be, how long, would it?
Well, I don't know if we
condition
can,
what
we
is
can't
there?
really,
We can't control construction progress. In terms of a 6-foot visual screening, are you talking about a vegetative screen to be placed in the 5-foot setback?
No, I don't think so, because he's gonna have the fence, he's gonna have the thing right on
Or a
the,
solid,
No.
solid fence?
yeah, on top of
And
the
the height of that would be, I guess, 5, because, oh, it could be up to 6.
6, yeah.
6-foot fence, solid.
Well, it'll
along the
actually go
edge.
6 and higher. The higher up
Yeah.
the driveway it goes, it'll be above.
Yeah.
Well, it would be 6 feet above the
Well,
deck here,
so I think-
right there. is what we're
6
talking
foot from the lowest point, to
Yeah.
the highest point, it's like probably 11, 12 foot.
Well, you're he's satisfying what you're looking. for.
Yeah, yeah, that's-
Okay.
Well, if you're gonna have an even 6-foot high, the deck is gonna be level, so you're gonna have an even 6-foot high.
No, but the ground slope, the driveway slopes up quite a bit.
It starts.
So the further
I
towards the
understand.
street you
You're
go.
gonna have a uniform height,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole length of the
It's gonna be-
deck,
it's gonna be-
the
it's gonna be
screen, the thing
6
is gonna
foot.
be the same height.
yeah.
So
Are they gonna add screening to it?
No,
depending on the neighbor's existing vinyl fencing to provide the screening, or are we
The new,
requiring new screening?
I don't think, I mean, it's a little redundant, right? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have two things
It is.
5 feet apart.
Fence next to each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
It isn't, if, it's redundant if the fence is in good condition and it's gonna be maintained.
yeah.
By both parties essentially, right? If the fence, if the vinyl fence was in a state of disrepair or near disrepair, and might be removed shortly, then it
It's
would
not.
create a visual issue.
It's not.
No, not at all.
That's not your position, the vinyl fence is in good shape.
Oh, very good.
You're gonna-
Yeah.
Right, so it should provide
Okay.
6 feet or better height screening, which would be sufficient to deal with the variance positive and negative.
Okay,
Okay,
anything else, James, you have some?
Yeah, I guess just to your point, it's more of a question for Bill. I guess one of the things is, what is the standard that the town applies for a safe and orderly work site? Bill, are there standard, I know I've seen some pristine construction guys, you know, and I've seen others that are, oh my God. Do they even know what they're doing? Is there some standard that could be described to a neighbor that would ensure that no nails on the road, everything is swept at the end of the day?
not exactly.
That's an overreach.
So there's means and methods and
Well, wouldn't it be a-
discretion of the contractor.
That's it, the contractor's gonna, whoever you hire, you just,
What I would say is that the original plans called for over 5,000 square feet of disturbance,
yeah.
which would trigger soil erosion
Right.
from the district. So that permit would give jurisdiction to soil erosion for some cleanliness and somewhat of housekeeping of the disturbed earth and managing the runoff and those kinds of concerns. So with that, usually generates some housekeeping of the property that's required by soil erosion making their
Yeah,
inspection.
what I'm more, it's not necessarily the disruption. Look, we've had work done on our house and it
Yeah.
wasn't as clean as we'd like it to be either. I'm sure it was an eyesore to others, right? But it was a short duration.
Yeah.
So it's the length of time. If this is a month versus a year, that's a different discussion.
It's hard because you choose your contractor, you hope you get a good contractor, but you can only control so much and, you know, it's,
We don't have that
we
authority.
don't have the
Right,
authority.
the permits don't expire.
I mean, what is your estimate to get time wise? Do you have any kind of time?
I try to do it as fast as possible, but guys, I applied for that from last August. I mean, and there was like, they send it back and I have to wait, engineer involved in.
No, I'm just saying the actual
We're-
construction.
I would say
Once you- if you
4 or 5
approve-
months, I mean,
It seems a long time.
How long?
This is not.
4 or
very
5
For the whole construction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That includes the block wall and earthwork in
Okay,
front.
Okay.
I mean, can you have the whole thing wrapped up? Is a year, is that too far for you, or? I mean, I don't know
Well,
what.
that's just the construction, like, there's been materials part in front of the garage and a camper there that we can't see down the street to get out of the garage or to get out of our driveway. So it's, how long is that type of thing gonna be
That's
there?
because we weren't able
Wait,
to.
wait.
I understand.
You're
We're not-
you're sworn in.
Yes, she is.
Oh,
Yeah, she's-
Yes, she is.
Sorry.
Mr.
This one.
Mr. Vuj?
Yes.
Sorry, sir. Seems like you have a good relationship with your neighbor, so just keep the communication going, and I'm sure it's gonna work out. I apologize, some of the questions you're asking is beyond the scope of our authority. So just keeping good communicate. Seems like you both are working well together right now, so just keep doing that.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, Rick, that you're absolutely right. We should have run it by you first, and it just, for some reason, we have so much going on. I didn't even think of it, but I do apologize. It would have been the best way to go.
Okay, very good. Anybody else from the public wish to comment on this application? Step right up.
Bill Calinda, 239 Hudson Ave.
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Correct.
And spell your name?
CALINDA, Junior.
There.
And you're a neighbor on the other side, or?
On the northern side.
Okay, what do you got?
So I find myself in a weird position here because I am a builder, custom home builder and remodeler. I've been in front of boards and I don't like when neighbors come in to talk about the other neighbors, but there's a difference in doing things right and doing things wrong. Okay? We try to do things right. And there's been a lot of stuff that's been done wrong here. Okay? Sewer lines taken 6 months to get backfill done without permits. When I come into the town and find out where's, what are they doing? What's going on? There's no permits. It's open. We have to call the town because the catch basins have been undermining. So there's a lot of games here. Phone calls being given to me saying that they're the contractor. When I talk to the contractor, it's not the person who called me. Okay, saying that they're gonna do work. So I'm here to say, please grant their variances and what they need to do, but with conditions. First condition is because a lot's a mess. All this, the runoff now is crossing the property lines and washing out my retaining walls. I got pictures and stuff like that of the holes underneath my walls. Silt fence, soil erosion has to be put up with in 15. You have to put a time stamp from this time the variance is approved tonight, that it's done in 15 days or 20 days, and have the building inspector come out and inspect it before anything else can be given. Second, we have rat infestation and a groundhog infestation because of all the garbage that's on the lot. I think that needs to be trapped, cleaned, and that garbage needs to be removed as soon as possible. For again, any issues of anything that's taken care of. Again, there has to be a time frame. We should not live like this. Okay, I got crap all over my patio. Okay, and stuff like that from the animals that are running by. And we got videos of them sitting there coming right out of the yard and stuff like that. Everything seems to take a little bit too long here. And and they did a good job doing some of the stuff, but there's games being played. And we need the town, because if it was any other town that I work in, there'd be a lot of fines going on. So I need the town, I need this board.
Interrupt you.
No, I'm speaking right now, ma'am. You had your chance, Easy, buddy.
No, I'm so easy. Don't raise your voice.
Let him finish.
Let me finish and then you'll have your choice. So I need this board to grant the variance, but with conditions. And that somebody has to come out and inspect and get this cleaned up. My property line's marked out, my property line's marked out. One of my trees is gone. I'm okay with that because I know hopefully they were gonna put stuff back. I'm here asking to put arborvitaes, a row of arborvitaes between that retaining wall and my property now, so we don't see each other. Because they're putting the driveway now right up against my property line in my area. So I asked this board, to go ahead, please grant with conditions on the items that I asked for.
May I respond or not?
Absolutely.
You're asking the board to do something that we don't do. We have a zoning officer and his job is the enforcement aspect of what you've declared just now. So that is the proper method to resolve any issues you have.
I've been there. I've been to town hall. I've been to the building department. Couldn't get anything done. And I've had to get the road department involved because the catch basin was undermined. It was
If you
undermined.
feel-
We were gonna lose the catch basin. So I'm asking, so if that's the case, we have to come up with
feel-
another solution.
If you feel you're not getting the appropriate answer or the response, file an email, an email to the administrator. Okay? Have a sit down with her and then it'll be resolved.
Again, this board has the permission to and the right to
No,
put
no,
the
it's a public.
criteria to get the soil erosion taken care of at this point.
No.
The soil erosion, I'll deal with that real quick. The
Right.
soil erosion, because it will be over 5,000 square feet, is then deferred to the soil conservation district. So I understand there's some issues that you're voicing regarding ongoing work without permits and other things stockpiled. That hasn't risen to the 5,000 square feet yet. When this project goes to permits, we will give our jurisdiction to them for that, those site. matters.
Mr. Engineer,
Yeah.
the site is torn apart. Have you been out there to see it? So this has been disturbed, ruined, water running all over the place. The cart was put in front of the horse here. That's the only reason why I'm here. Other than that, I don't care that you grant them all the permission, all the variances that you do. But a lot of, the cart was put in front of the horse and it's ruining it's ruining my property.
We're following instructions, what we were supposed to do. We started and then we had to file for a variance and we stopped everything. And that's why it looks like it does. As soon as we're approved, we're getting a dumpster in and getting everything taken out. If you notice, we don't have a driveway to access down to the lower portion. So all of that stuff down there, until we can get a crane to put it into a dumpster, which if we're approved tonight, will happen right away. We don't like the condition of it either, but we kind of don't have anything to do with, until we're approved. And we have done absolutely nothing without a permit.
Well, I think you could, if nothing's getting done as far as the drainage stuff, yeah, you could email the town administrator and, she'll have to contact the borough engineer and he'll have to go down and take a look at it, and it has to be addressed. You can't obviously let stormwater, it has to be contained and it has to, you can't dump your stormwater on somebody else's property and erode it. Now, as far as the rats and stuff, call the Sussex County Health Department. They will come right down there and check it out.
No, but it shouldn't have to. We're here, we're
we
checking
don't-
on,
we don't do that.
I'm not asking you to do that, but I've been to the town. I've asked them to come out. They've driven by, and I'm not sure if I talked to this gentleman here. I'm not- Yeah, I'm not sure if I talked to him or not.
So I don't know.
But,
who you're talking to. He's
some,
the guy.
no, in the building department, construction, it might have been you, but I'm not sure. We think when there was no plans, then we had to get a stop work order because there was no sewer lines. Permit
That would
for
be
at that
building.
time, yeah.
We also, the deck was
Yeah.
was being built without any.
So all I ask is that they understand and you guys have to put in, you can put conditions in approvals here that it's gone on. This is not fair. The dirty water's running into the lake. So what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Sir,
Yes.
is this,
It's water, we don't have a septic anymore.
sir,
It's not dirty water, it's
Sir,
soil water,
folks.
soil erosion.
is this natural course of water or is this purposely directed?
It's now it's purposely directed because
Then it would-
it's.
If there is purposely directed water, it would be a violation if it's causing harm to your property. You
Right.
have to follow through with the standards that are set for everybody
All right, no problem.
and as
No
we've
problem.
expounded upon.
Okay,
Just send an email to the borough administrator stating,
This is her,
yeah,
thank you.
her address on
Thank
the.
you.
and she'll get a hold of the borough
Because
engineer.
here's the thing, we've been living with a pile of garbage, all this stuff is out there, so. They can get guys to build rock walls, they can get guys to rebuild the garage, they can get guys to put mason stone on the fireplace, but they can't get guys to get a dumpster there to get the garbage out. This is not fair to the neighbors, I'm not a kind of guy that's gonna sit here and complain, but this is absolutely,
Video.
Ma'am.
ma'am, I don't take a video of you. Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thanks.
go ahead, Joe.
Thank you.
So, to the extent of the concern of screening that was requested. The driveway is proposed at a 0-foot setback to the property line. There is a nominal, I would say maybe 2-foot setback of the neighbor on 19's driveway edge from the survey to the property line. So if screening was to be provided with a row of arborvitae's or otherwise, it would be on the neighbor's property as currently shown on the plan. Otherwise, we'd have to discuss the setback of the
The
wall.
driveway or the.
Right, the retaining wall, the driveway is proposed at 31 feet at its narrowest point and the deepest point. So it would be a discussion over that 31 foot in width and whether there should be a setback on the wall to be able to then discuss the screening to be essentially put on the property line between those lines.
It may be a 3-foot setback, I mean,
Something to be able to create a
Plant.
corridor for planting that's
Yeah.
on the property line essentially. So that would be, yeah, a 3-foot setback would make a 28-foot wide narrowest point of the retaining.
No, but,
So on the driveway side, are you willing to bring that, instead of going all the way to the property line with the driveway?
that was
back-
extreme, put too much cost for me, sir, you can't handle. He more than welcome, he can put, fence in his property, he can put, any trees, whatever, I mean.
I mean, you are proposing going right to the property line with it.
But
You know,
Driveway.
But that's the driveway, and all the body in town, they put their property in the driveway, I
That
mean.
make this driveway and Rick's driveway.
Anything, he needed extra, he's more than welcome to handle it himself and his property.
so at,
one doing construction, sir.
at the,
I'm talking now.
at the easterly edge. The down gradient towards
the
the lake.
Yep.
The easterly edge of the retaining wall, it is proposed at 5 feet in height.
Okay.
In exceedance of the 4-foot threshold, that there is the variance is on the table for the 5 foot, what would normally be a 5-foot setback.
Okay.
So if we're discussing screening and the appropriateness of some relief from the property line, it's directly related to the variance relief being sought.
Okay. So what is your suggestion on that?
I think the applicant needs to provide some discussion and testimony as to the need for 31 feet in width for that.
Yeah.
Now, right, what you suggested was 3 feet, that would give us 28 feet. That 28 feet would be a rather comfortable 10-foot per 2 cars in
Right.
width with ample room between the cars and area to get access 4 feet clear on the southerly side to the steps into the dwelling, the accessibility into the dwelling.
One of the vehicles is a handicapped accessible bus with a big platform that comes down sideways for the wheelchair to get off of the
Okay.
ramp. So we need space to that.
So a wheelchair accessible ADA parking
16
stall
It's 10 foot.
is, yes, a wheelchair accessible or van accessible space is 8 by 8 feet of the width of the spot plus 8 feet of the striped area.
16 foot.
So that's 16 feet. That leaves you then another
12 feet.
12 feet for the next vehicle. If you're at 28 feet.
Gentlemen, that driveway he's talking about is built illegal 4 years ago.
I think that's not gonna help you.
No, it's not gonna help me, but no, he take the driveway all the way to the property line and everybody
But
had no issue with that back there.
tonight you're here related to this retaining wall specifically for a variance to encroach to the property line for 0-foot setback where 5 is required on a wall over 5 feet. And the corner of that wall is over 5 feet. So the request for relief has to discuss this necessity and kind of lay out the geometrics of the need for the van and access out of the van plus the access of potentially the second car in width there, or stacking the cars as opposed to side by side. Because there would, at 28 feet in width, there would be room for van accessible ADA space and the space next to it, plus 12 feet for the next car on the side of it.
So
Then stacking essentially 2 more cars deep, or
Behind it.
possibly 3 cars
Yeah.
wide. That gives you up to 4 cars stacked in a 28-foot wide area.
So are you suggesting that we keep it back?
I think that the consideration you're giving to be at 28 feet as opposed to 26 feet to observe the setback is a fair mediation
Okay.
of their request to be at the property line. It also gives us the opportunity to then have what would nominally be 5 to 6 feet for a planting row of arborvitae's on the property line to address the screening concern between neighbors.
Right, you understand that?
I do.
Go back to 26 feet then, right?
26 feet would be no variance, 28 feet will be a 2-foot variance, so they'll be 3 feet off the property line, 2 feet into the.
Meeting in the middle,
Essentially.
so
So it means I have to take it all the way to the street.
you have to maintain that 3 feet
Yes.
Yeah,
all the way up.
but so the variance is specific to the section of the wall over 4 feet.
Yep.
But I think it makes sense that the geometry of this be consistent and up the top of It also includes the constructability of where that U shape of the wall along the property line terminates. And then the proposed curbing the rest of the way to keep the drainage in. It gives the ability to access from both sides of that construction area without being on the neighbor's property while doing the construction.
But we're gonna have a problem with that because the sewer pump basically is gonna come to that 3 foot area because,
It is.
okay, so we're gonna have to move the sewer pump too.
Well, the
If it's
sewer
in
pump is
conflict with the
down.
wall,
The sewer pump is down below that.
the sewer pump is
Driveway
shown,
area.
It's toward the street and it's like close to the property line.
so it,
Because the connection from the street, it's
Down
right in the
that
property
side.
line.
so the septic lid, or sorry, sewer pump lid out to the street is west street side of where the wall terminates. So if the wall set back in, it may be buried under the curb line. But it could be,
Now you have to have access, if anything of the mechanical thing, it didn't work, I have to have access to change it.
then it may need to be offset into the driveway area to accommodate.
Now, the elevation of that grinder pump lid, is that? That's a good coming across that driveway, you're not gonna raise or lower that elevation.
So right.
I think
now
it's better coming in, Joe, because if you fill that, you're gonna have to extend that sewer pump.
Well,
You know, you're gonna have to put a riser on it, right? I mean, keep it in. Septic lid. You got the regular survey in there? It's right, the grinder pump is right here.
I see it, it's right over your side. It's marked S.
Yes,
That it's just, that's a picture of the
Okay.
area. So.
I mean, that grinder pump has to be, you can't drive on that, and that has to, I mean, if it's gonna
Right,
be
well,
in
it's
the
gonna have to be
driveway.
modified either way,
Yeah.
it's gonna need to be road like.
You gotta put bollards around it or something where you can't, you know, cause that, you'll go right through that lid.
Yeah, it's gonna need to have some protection,
Protection
including
around it.
road rated protection around it to then put a manhole cover, basically doghouse over the top of it.
I was handed, 3 photographs, apparently the applicant provided, these, to our engineer. I'm just gonna ask the applicant, of these photographs accurately show the conditions that are on the property. You took these, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna show you what I marked as A and then,
That's,
where's that taken from? What's it looking at?
That's basically that street line here and the
Where,
everything involved.
okay,
The
that's,
parking area
that's existing.
is from both.
Okay.
Here at the corner, that's basically both part of that is our property, the bin is right here.
And A2, is that your
Yes,
pump there?
yes, sir.
And that's your neighbor's driveway,
Correct.
okay.
And that's where we get all the water since they put the driveway.
And so the neighbor's driveway is pretty much on the property line.
at that location, it's about 2 to 3 feet in, only at
the
the
street, towards the
street
street
does it kind of meander back over to the property.
And then the final photograph. A3, that's obviously looking at the lake, and whose driveway is that on the upper?
The end of their driveway,
That's the end of the neighbor's driveway.
correct.
So it drops down significantly to your lot.
Yep.
Mhm.
And the proposed wall would be equivalent within a foot in height to the neighbor's edge of driveway. It would appear from the design and the revised survey. because of extra device space.
We'll be raising the level of your area there where the sewer pump is significantly lower than your neighbor's driveway.
No, we try to be like more or less the same, their heights.
Same height. You're not gonna change the height.
No, no,
Okay,
no.
all right,
Yeah, they're just trying to get down to the
right.
provided driveway down.
Right, so essentially what, after construction, we'll have similar elevations of slopes on driveways.
Yeah.
To a similar limit.
Yeah.
And then between them will be the edges of walls tying into essentially a swaled area between the properties.
Yeah.
That'll then discharge.
That'll
below
take the water
property.
and kind of keep it all.
Right, and everything from the existing grading and topography, it'll more or less stay along the property line or meander slightly into either of the two properties, but there's some rock wall edging on lot 19, the neighbor's property. This would appear to keep any of that runoff limited away from their improvement area.
All right, so we'd like you to move it into the 28 feet instead of going right to the, I mean, that's pretty much what we discussed about.
Minimum 3 foot setback from the common property.
3 foot, it should be 5, so 3 is gonna,
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry. Perfectly fine, but their driveway is
we're
not.
not here for their driveway, we're here for their
I understand,
application.
but what I'm saying. For me, like now, I have to put whole new wall all the way to the street, I mean.
Well, the wall itself will terminate about halfway up towards the street for the design, and then it's proposed to transition to just a concrete curb to maintain drainage between the property lines.
But you're gonna fill this area anyway, so there's not gonna be much of a difference in elevation between the two properties, correct?
No, I wanna work with you guys, I have no problem with the 28 foot, it's perfectly fine. But like, for him demanding for me to put like, fence and this, I mean, he could put fence in his property. Nobody asked him not to put.
Chairman, he said that he wasn't going to have it elevated in any way. It's going to, he's not bringing fill in, but my.
There will be.
Yeah,
No, we have to graduate the.
Right. Yeah, it'll be graduated down.
So the proposed grade is gonna make that grinder pump more or less flat.
Yes.
So he's gonna,
It looks like it's gonna bury.
yeah, so there's gonna be, that's why he's looking for that wall on the lake side of the way.
Yeah,
You know?
that's buried.
But once he raises that up, there's not gonna be much of a
There will
difference.
be, it'll be buried, but not.
Yeah.
Not nearly what they have.
Yes.
And then.
By the way, can I bring to attention something? At the end of his driveway,
Why?
we have 2 foot
Just one of two, let's see, there's three.
by last point of his driveway, that's our property.
And his driveway is actually built on our rocks. Like if you see the picture that's there, those are our rocks under his driveway that are holding his up.
So the 3 foot you're talking about, believe it or not, it's not gonna change that much.
Right. So it would actually be building right, it's already on their property line because there is no,
So correction, right, so the edge of the pavement of the neighbor's driveway is approximately 2 to 3 feet from the property line.
on
But
our
the-
side, yeah.
But the rock wall slopes down to
The property line.
nominally the property line.
Yeah.
So the discussion we just had about offsetting for the variance relief would not necessarily afford a row of arborvitae's between the two.
And especially looking at what's there, it looks like it's all on, I mean, anyway, yeah. Maybe just run the grade into the neighbor's grade, and we don't say make the two grades match,
Between
yeah.
them, if they'd like to settle that out, to essentially have a common edge of the driveway with a curb line between them and the problem is marrying your engineering
To their engineer.
design together of the two walls.
Doesn't sound like, there's
I think leaving,
a workable.
yeah,
No.
leaving the two designs independent is always best in that manner. But I don't think it would be feasible to inspect our arborvitae, knowing that this rock wall slopes to.
Yeah, that going down that way. Those
I
are
didn't
some
notice
pretty big
that.
rock
I
there.
didn't notice that line on that bold line. The survey.
So we're saying the driveways are over 2 feet on.
Not so much, I mean,
Not
maybe,
over. At the pin in the
This.
street, it looks like it's at. the
this is
property line.
good.
The driveway itself is okay, it's the
rocks.
It's,
So-
or no, by survey, the rocks are not over.
There's some of them, sir.
I mean, if you look at the survey, it's close, you know what I'm saying? It's. So, I mean, at this time, I guess. I wouldn't say we need any screening there because it's not really gonna.
Correct.
I don't think it'll make it, you know, I mean, unless you put a fence right down that's something else.
But can I ask something? If he need to put a fence, why he doesn't put fence in his property? I mean, anybody tell him that?
Well, this is your application tonight, so that's all we're gonna deal with tonight.
I mean, I guess we could leave it without the screening and, you know, listen, if the neighbor next door doesn't like to look at it, he can certainly put up a fence, you know?
I would love to, that's perfect.
I mean, we can't,
The board on.
you know,
Right, the setback, providing
Yes.
a mediation of the setback, not beyond the property line for the 5 foot requirement. With or without screening mitigation, those are just there.
So we're still at 28 guys.
I think,
That's the discussion.
I think it's still 28 feet should be able to accommodate the use.
Yeah.
And provide some consideration to the variance proof to get the 2 foot or the 5 foot.
And allow maintenance and construction.
Right, and allow maintenance and construction.
so we'll go with the 28 foot wide,
Sure.
you know, coming up that way.
Okay.
The 5 foot, on the other side setback. Is there anything else? I mean.
What about the duck?
the-
Yeah. It wants to widen it up.
I don't know what the, what I'm looking for is from the finished height of the deck to the top of my fence to be 6 foot. That's what we were talking
Can
about.
you achieve that?
But the slope of, I don't have pictures, but I don't know, because I know that the closer we get down to the end of the driveway, the closer that block gets to the ground. So again, as long as it's 6 foot from the top of the finished deck to the top of the fence, I'm fine with that. And 5 feet back.
Or I can put fence on my side, 6 foot, and that will result that too.
Deck is.
You can put something on the deck, you know what I'm saying, like.
So to the extent that. To the extent that the neighbor's existing vinyl fence provides 6 foot clear off.
At this
the deck,
area, yeah, it has to
Right, the
be,
neighbor appears to be comfortable with his fence providing that screening.
Yeah.
But if that fence is
Falls
less
below.
than 6 feet.
Yeah.
Then the appropriate mitigation would be the applicant's privacy fence on
on the deck.
of the deck. So rather than just a railing on that side, it'd be a 6 foot board on board privacy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe towards the top end of the deck,
We'll
the
put
street, you don't need
greens.
anything, you're good there.
Trees.
Maybe the last couple, 15 feet of the deck, you may have to just put a screen on top of
We're
the
planning
deck.
on putting trees.
Oh, but the trees are gonna be at a lower level.
Yeah,
They're gonna be at grade underneath.
right now, yeah, so they're gonna take,
They're gonna take some time at.
Mature.
No, I'm gonna bring like already 8 foot trees, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Right, but what I'm saying is that, what's the height of the piers for the deck from grade?
on the
That's gonna
ground,
be like
on the
roughly
low
put
end of
in
the property, from the pier, from the ground level
Yeah.
to your deck, what is that difference?
Is that,
I would say like 1.5 foot.
okay,
Alright, so
then,
we're not talking like.
the landscaping may suffice.
Yeah, okay.
So they're talking trees, will the trees overhang our driveway?
No, nothing is,
No.
it's gonna be in our 5 foot area.
All right. Anybody else from the public wish to comment on this application? Seeing none, I'll close it to public and bring it back to the board and wait for a motion. Go ahead, Bill.
To confirm the 5 and the 3,
Yes.
should we have it in as built?
I think that would be a good idea. This way, everybody knows where everything is, because it's contentious on both sides. So let's make sure. What we're asking for is when you're all done, you just have your surveyor come out and update with the construction that you've done. Say, okay, your deck is where it's supposed to be, your driveway's where it's supposed to. That way, your neighbor can come in and say, well, I think it's wrong. Well, here's a survey that says it's not.
Okay.
So an as-built drawing when the construction is completed.
I would just encourage you to work with your neighbor on lot 17 when you do that as-built, since they had also retained Lakeland previously.
Sorry, what lot 17, that would be.
That's to your south, address wise, it's on your garage side, on the deck
Oh, okay,
side,
sorry.
on the deck side, so that the corrected boundary dispute can be reflected on.
Oh, we don't have a dispute, like, I mean, the corner marker, he said, I don't
No,
care about the
I
corner
use the
marker.
word dispute because it's a dispute
No
between
discrepancy.
the plans certified to both of you respectively by the same survey.
It is what it is.
It
We
is.
have people come here and argue for 6 months over 3 inches. That one says it's his, he says it's his, so this way, it's squared
Well,
away.
and that's what it would appear we're talking about. I've shown on the plan, it's the difference between nominally 0.8 to 1 foot.
Mhm.
No, it's actually about, yeah.
Okay,
But again, I've got the appointment with the surveyor on that.
well, you're,
They-
whatever, if it's in his favor, you're gonna move your fence onto your property, so
They'll be
that,
responsive to you. I've
Everybody will be-
worked with
everybody's
Lakeland
happy.
Plenty of times on these kinds of issues and they are responsive to settling that.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that, to approve this with the condition that there's an as-built
Okay,
Okay,
after the,
and the revisions that we've discussed.
and the revisions.
5 feet on one side, 3 feet on the other
Right.
side, so.
6 foot,
With those conditions, that's where I'm at.
okay.
John, a second.
And this includes the dot
That
there.
includes the dot,
Why
getting it there.
the application is submitted. is revisions.
Okay, so you're not gonna approve. Well, not yet, I'm not.
Wait, early.
We don't, we have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second, so.
Mr. Trillo,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Cameron,
Yes.
Ms. Crocker,
Yeah.
Councilman Kuzinich,
Yes.
Chairman Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
have a good night.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, next applicant is. Next application is Robert J. Devine, block 50411.
Gorgeous wife Monica.
And what?
Gorgeous wife Monica.
You're not on here.
Oh, you need me on this wall.
All right. Block 50411, lot 8, 16 Daydream Lane.
Who's ever going to testify? You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
I did,
and your full names.
Monica Devine?
Robert Devon. She owns half.
Yeah,
More than that.
yeah, thank you.
She'll keep on.
Okay, you're the only two that are gonna be testifying tonight? Okay. One of our members has to recuse himself. He lives within 200 feet of the application. Okay, let us know what you'd like to do here.
We want to raise the boathouse to put in some desperately needed storage space and a rec room and hopefully a bathroom so that everybody coming off the water doesn't trap through my kitchen, living room and dining room to get to the bathroom. And a deck off the front. I
That's it?
did a whole bunch of pictures, yeah.
And you want to be real careful here because, we're talking about a bathroom, we're not talking about a kitchen, no living.
No.
All right, we got your pictures here.
Yep.
Right, these are all,
Yep, you'll see the septic's located right between the house and the boathouse, so it's easily accessible and I attached bars. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh. I attached,
I mean, we don't have to, these are already in the application,
If
so
they're
we
in
don't
the
need.
application. it's-
yeah, everybody should have. The septic can accommodate a bathroom there easily. They can easily punch into that pipe there, however they do that.
Mhm.
So
Well, we don't base it on. It's on bedroom.
I know that that's a big thing on a lake, that you can't have bathrooms. So I didn't know whether it was because people thought sewage goes into the water or something, but I don't know. So I'm trying to, you know, preempt it right.
We have had that.
Recently.
So what's the reasoning usually?
3, And it changes the description of the property from a single family dwelling. Because you're
Single-
adding more
Living space.
living space.
Even
It
though
can be
there's,
then considered a multiple family dwelling.
oh,
That's why I asked, that there be no kitchen, confirmation that there be no kitchen.
no,
It's not
come
gonna
see
be-
my beautiful new
It won't be
kitchen.
used for separate.
We're all
applications.
invited. No, no,
one's
no,
gonna
no,
live
about that.
Eating?
Excuse me?
Is there eating in there?
No, I think in the plans, it shows that one side is storage. If you're familiar with the property, it's got three very, very, very tiny closets. That's it. So we're looking for storage and a rec room for the kids.
Storage on the back half, storage, bathroom, storage. And then the rest would be big revenue.
Insulated without heating and air.
Oh, heating in there,
No heating and air.
no with heating in there.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
With
yeah, you would need
the
it.
Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Insulated.
Yeah, we're looking at.
Recreational space
Full time.
in a detached structure. That's three stuff.
It's gonna get linked together.
Hopefully at some point, which is also in the plans, linked to the main house.
Well, you didn't really, you discussed that with your submission, but you really didn't show it.
Sorry, linked,
It's on one of the blueprints.
linked by steps, concrete pads and steps, not.
No,
No.
up in the air.
It's linked by a walkway through.
Okay.
That on here?
Yes.
Doesn't it become one structure though? Does that
Well,
become-
it's linked for the walkway. I don't think it's a.
But it's not enclosed, it's just a walkway to get.
I
there.
wanna close it because of the winter time. Well,
So he's gonna enclose it.
If you're making it a breezeway,
Gonna change.
Yeah.
it becomes part of the house, actually.
From what I read in the rules and regulations, that actually it doesn't, it still stays in a, what is it, accessory building?
could we make it
We'd like
part of the
to.
house?
It is an accessory structure unless we connect it with a breezeway.
So let me ask you, could we make it?
So is the
I think
verbiage
that would trigger
breezeway that I'm
variance,
confused on?
wouldn't it, if they made it into.
So it's, if it's connected with a open air roof breezeway,
No.
it's still an accessory structure. It's the way I would interpret it.
No.
If it's then enclosed,
Right.
insulated, Four Seasons, it then becomes part of the structure. Becomes a hallway interior to the home,
Oh,
and then we're discussing the setbacks of the existing accessory structure becoming part of the principal dwelling on the lakefront, et cetera, et cetera. We do our bookkeeping.
What do you want to do with the breezeway? You want to,
They walk through.
so that they don't have to go outside,
are you going to fully enclose the breezeway? Is it gonna be heated like the house? How are you gonna?
I wanted to enclose it. I never thought about heat. It's just to throw it there to get from one to the other. But you're gonna heat Stockholm. Yes.
yeah. It keeps them from having to like go out, down the stairs, back up another set of stairs, and come into the house when they're ready to go to sleep. Or when anybody's ready to go to sleep, it's a more direct route.
Yeah. That's still, I think once they enclose the breezeway.
It becomes a house.
It becomes part of the house, it becomes a single structure, you probably eliminated a couple of variances, you probably picked up a couple.
Couple of
Exactly. So it's a bean counting of the police.
So is that a bad thing or a good thing?
Well, I think Bill would have to figure that, correct, Bill? I mean, because then it becomes the principal structure.
No, absolutely, and at that point, your side yard, your side yard setbacks would trigger a variance and all. The scenario there, though, is if then, if you wanted to, you could put it on the shelf, so we could do that, so then the variances could be outlined. And so that, then the beans are counted.
So
I
start
don't
with
know
what
if
we're-
this is a good,
You eliminate the accessory structure in the front yard and the accessory structure looked a little bit large, frankly, I was kind of wondering in terms of whether it's in excess size-wise, accessory structure there too, so you're kind of eliminating a couple of variances.
We
The
have
question is, do we have them come back after we are able to assess this a little more?
Or
I-
are we comfortable, or the alternative is, are we comfortable with the bean counting being done before the resolution is perfected? And then we discuss it at the memorialization. If we understand what is in front of us that we're discussing and contemplating, we could discuss the variance changes in principle. And then it could be perfected for the resolution, and we can discuss at the memorialization, have a quick little discussion on, you know, what those variances were. So we
I
know,
would just be, maybe it's not advertised
Right.
as this, it's a different, you know, what I'm saying? No.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Well, so-
That would be the Haggerty,
you mean in terms of the public? building?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's told off for the storage, needed more storage, and then
Mm.
all of a sudden now it's turning into a like.
It's part of the principal structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, so.
So can we address what we're here for now and then do a second one for that? Because either way, whether that would be approved or not, the breezeway, we would still want to raise the boathouse and put a,
Well, if you're
Definitely.
taking that part of the application out, like you just wanna do, you wanna do the boathouse and you wanna do the decks, I guess we could move forward
We
with
can
that
do that.
only.
We just caution you that if you come back again, you know, you do pay the freights again, the freight again, you pay the application.
You gotta go through the whole process again, just for that.
And then
But-
noticing.
or is what you're saying, if we do proceed with it here now, then we can't proceed because it's
can.
misunderstood of what that is, or what am I not getting?
Proceed with what's
With what-
approved for
what's
this evening, not what you're looking to do with the breezeway and connecting it. You won't be able to do that.
Okay, until
That won't be.
you
considered.
discuss that further.
Right, so
Okay.
then this approval, your existing condition, whether you've constructed it yet or not, it'll be the existing condition to the next application. To then convert the accessory structure into part of the principal dwelling.
It's funny, when I read that, I read no matter what, it couldn't be, it would never be considered part of the, I must have read it wrong in
Well-
the things.
Well,
That
once you
would never
add
be
that
considered.
with an enclosed structure to that, it all becomes one.
So because the structure's enclosed is what makes it,
Becomes one.
but if
Right.
it wasn't enclosed, it does, it still stays
as an
accessory?
Accessory structure.
Okay,
So
Why
as-
can't we make it one?
What's that?
Why can't we make it one?
Well, you could come to ask for that, but we don't know if that triggers any more variances or anything else. Now it
Changes
comes,
the nature of the application.
you can change the
Like,
whole
like the
application.
attorney said, you'll drop some variances. And then you'll pick up some other variances, and so those need to just be put on paper in the zoning charts. So that the board understands what they're voting on, or we have some level of understanding to perfect it by the time we memorialize the resolution.
I mean,
And I think we're leaning towards there's a threshold there that we'd like to understand it fully, so we're gonna consider it all in one application.
I think
We'd
you
be
better-
looking for an adjournment. and
yeah,
carry.
I would say, I would ask for an adjournment to file your application to encompass everything you would like to do here, because once you enclose that, it becomes a house, it's part of the house,
Becomes
so
part of-
we don't know if it's gonna trigger any other variances, it may take some variances away, but so,
We can take it out and then reapply.
if you wanna go through the whole process again,
Well, you wouldn't, we
What do
won't
you think?
withdraw, you can adjourn.
I trust you.
You don't.
Yeah, you don't have to withdraw your application without prejudice, you can adjourn and make revisions to supplement. Come back to the board, it wouldn't require further notice, and I think we should discuss.
well, I think it should, I think if it triggers any other variances.
It
if
would require further notice because they're attached to the house.
So if we look at it as a different beast, then.
Yeah, but I would have the board retain jurisdiction if this is what they want to do, so they don't have to start fully again. Amend the application, provide notice that it is what the, talk to Bill, what the appropriate variances are in your plan. Show the breezeway, you know, so that everybody that comes in and looks at it knows what you're doing. Show an enclosed breezeway, it will change the variances of the minimum side yard setback for the house based upon the setback for the house. It'll eliminate some variances for the accessory structure. You have number of accessory structures, in the front yard, size of accessory structure. You're gonna eliminate some variances, but that has to be straightened out so that there any notice, some member of the public looks at it and knows what they're doing.
So then on A3, it doesn't show it as an enclosed thing?
Yeah.
That's not how that shows on here?
No, I mean, the way I read it is as a wooden deck that steps down open air with a deck landing around the rectory. And access directly to the rectory.
I mean,
Yeah, the deck, we're not doing the deck off the front anymore. That was discussed previously. It was just the attachment through.
But it's the cleanliness of the architectural that have been submitted being revised to what your current intent is.
Yeah, I would just ask to postpone this, you know, not, it's not like you have to start over again, postpone it and come in, go see Bill with what exactly you wanna do. And then he'll tell you if you need a variance for this also, you don't need this variance anymore. This way, when you come here, we have everything you wanna do. Right now, you're asking to close a walkway, that's not on here, you know what I'm saying? We can't, I can't.
Okay, I thought it was on there. It's on the blue. I thought it was on.
Well, right now you want to get your goal, with your breezeway, so this is the way to achieve that, rather than come back the second time. When I say a second time, the new plans and whatever.
Starting all over. This way you can, if you ask to carry this, you can get all that stuff and come back without having to pay the whole,
Right.
you know, all the fees and everything else again.
Okay,
Right, we have on file. Or two sets of plans from your architect, one is a 2-page. On the wooden deck proposed over the rock,
yeah, this is the big one.
right, which has a date revised of 2/5/25. And then there's a 3-page, A1 through 3. That does not appear to be dated.
No, there's no date on it.
That set of 3 is the set that addresses
The boat.
That's
the boathouse and the connection of the boathouse.
On those, on that third set, you need a drawing with the connection for the boathouse.
I thought that's what that was.
First two are okay, I mean, that's just for your. for
The
your
deck out front.
Yeah, and the way he shows it is as a wooden deck with railings and steps. So it'd be open air.
Right, so show me on here. So this is the boathouse. If we're taking this off, this would be the access to the main.
Yeah, so the portion from the dwelling,
Mm-hmm.
this deck and steps down and into the rec room. This is all showing as.
Open air.
Your architect illustrated it as these details. This is coming out of your building.
So like a walkway with railings going through.
He's showing it
I
as a
got
deck, a deck flat level area and then steps down of the deck, but all this would. Not be insulated, not have a covering.
So this is what's got to change to show enclosed.
Right, he's showing it as deck connected.
I mean, you just gotta give detail and all that, what it's gonna be framed out of, what's, the roof pitch, all that.
Okay. Got that?
No, none of
Got that?
Okay.
So are you asking?
Yeah.
How about the 2 decks?
The deck off the front.
Now, Bill, if they move forward with just that, is that,
Well, it does change the nature of the application. They should notice the variant and indicate that it is an application to raise the boathouse roof, connect the boathouse to the home. So people know what
I
they're.
don't think we can split it into 2.
yeah, we can't move you half of it tonight and,
Right.
so you're gonna have to wait till you bring the whole thing back and then.
So stay height, so you don't want to have.
You wanna go tonight, then at the end of the breezeway,
No breezeway.
no breezeway, we look at it as submitted.
Strictly
no
is what it
breezeway.
is, okay.
Okay. we
And then
can-
you can stake and reserve the right later.
Take a look
You
back.
can- you can-
Always make another
Another
application.
time.
I wanna get moving on the deck.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll lose the whole summer.
Then the board can view the application as submitted, no breezeway.
Okay. Okay.
And then on raising of the boathouse, without the connection, I have up to 12 feet is what I applied for.
Yeah, it says 6 to 8. The original application had that, but it then was changed to 10 to 12 and in the, yeah, in the possibility up to 12 and in the blueprints, it shows that. And in my Howdy Oral introduction letter, it also says.
So what does the height thing go as an accessory structure?
18.
Max.
Max.
And I was just gonna look to see if we triggered the,
Yeah, what is the height of the original boathouse?
It depends where you're standing, but from the outside here, it's about 13 in the driveway.
if.
I thought I read something, it couldn't be higher than the house.
No, it can't be higher than 18 feet.
The way it would work, if a professional provided the average height of the average grade, we'd use that, but otherwise we'd use the maximum grade height.
To the
And
ridge.
at that point, it's that plus 12 feet, if it's over 18 feet, it was pretty.
That would be
the height standards.
Well, I have that on there. I got 10 to 12. So right there, I
No,
do.
in the act, not the 12, which you're gonna aim, but what you.
What your total,
What you are, we need to know what you are maximum now. And what you're.
So it's 28, Bill, if you take this and add this up.
That's the house, that's the house.
That's the house.
I believe so, isn't it? Oh.
No, that's the boat.
Hold on.
I apologize.
So if we add all this up,
So the reason,
What did you add
to
up?
be clear, the reason to elevate is to maintain the boat port below and have a second floor.
Yes, rec room.
Okay.
Good, right now the ceiling's at 12, bottom of the ceiling's at 12, but he has a gantry system in there, the top of steel is 13.6.
Right.
I can lower that steel. But I don't have to go to the top.
In the pictures, there's pictures of the inside.
we're gonna take the whole boathouse down, everything?
No, no, no,
Oh,
just, no, no.
From the
I'm
architect,
gonna just raise the roof.
from the architect's elevation,
It's already been done tonight.
you have three sections from the architect.
25 feet, right?
So on A1, we have a cross section. And that's showing 11 feet plus 8 feet plus 6, 28 feet. A2. We have a rear elevation at 9 feet plus 8 plus 6, so another foot added. No, sorry, 2 feet lower. To 26 feet. And then on the lakeside elevation, we're at 11, 8, and 6 again. So we're at that 28-foot height, so I think we would be.
And I'm sorry, the
Discussing-
maximum,
We're discussing 28 feet versus 18, which means we're discussing a D variance. That's more than 10.
Where do you take your zero from? What part of the four sides? Or what did you take your zero
yeah,
from?
it's a good question.
Yeah.
Why is it the architect?
Professional figures, the average. What's a really good thing, the average.
Why is what?
The architect's not
Professional, it would be where the structure will go down, from the tippy top of the roof, down to the ground, where it happens to be the most.
You can't count the water, can you?
I would think bring up another back there.
That's about right now, about 2 feet, 14
14 interior or 14 to the
to
grid?
the peak.
Because the architect showing it as on the lakeside elevation, 11 plus 8.
You see the rear elevation with the window in the center?
Yeah,
With that slope from that peak, I just did this last night, about 14 feet.
from that peak to the bottom.
Yeah,
Right, but
they
Peak
did
15
it right.
feet.
but the calculation would be from the left side of that
I
plan,
did it from the peak. I did the peak
Right.
down right to the window.
but it wouldn't be to there. It would be to the outside of the wall on the left side of the elevation to straight up to the peak as shown by your architect. And he's saying nominally 9 plus 8 plus 6.
Yeah, but Bill just said you take the average. The average would be in the middle.
Professional figure, the
How's
average.
that one?
The architect can provide that, but what we're saying though is 18 feet is the requirement. 10% of that 18 is 1.8.
No, but the municipal land use law.
On accessory?
That applies to a principal structure,
Okay.
so the height of principal structure would exceed by 10%. So it's not a.
Not the accessory. The
Well, okay.
accessory is still a bulk.
Accessory is still a C variance.
Okay, so it's still a bulk C variance, but it's discussed for nominally, we're talking about 8 to 10 feet as shown on the plan.
Right.
But if the architect can provide calculations of the average, then we can accept them for a lesser
Right.
variances.
Obviously, the boathouse is at a lower level than the house, so yeah, it slopes down, so the
Right.
perspective is different.
So in terms, I understand we're just working on the front deck right now then, and then this needs adjustment and the breezeway needs it.
I don't know if we can.
No, what your husband had indicated, he wants to proceed with the application as filed. So as submitted, so that's what we're
Okay.
looking at.
They
couldn't bifurcate it and just do the two little decks by the lake for
now, and
then. Well, you could.
We could, but then they're gonna have to
That's the end of the,
next.
then the application is closed, correct? I mean, if you come just for the decks, that's the end of this, and then you gotta come back, the other stuff.
Right.
Can't give you.
You gotta
refile.
What's the disadvantage though? You just have to pay again?
Money.
You have to pay again and you have to renotice and
But you
you're
have to
gonna,
renotice anyway.
and you're gonna get it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to renotice anyway. If you did a breezeway, you're gonna have to renotice
All right, so then I agree with my husband. I think we should, go forward with the deck and then we'll,
So let me ask you this, when, just, what we'll do what Monica just said for that, but going forward, what if I just eliminated the boathouse and converted it into a house?
No way.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That's how it's
Whoa.
It's a use variance and your chances are slim to none.
So then that
That is
becomes two
zero.
principal structures on the
Absolutely.
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
that's what I was showing you here. And I read my rules.
Change your own zoning, but you're not allowed to do.
They're not allowed.
No,
No,
No, everybody would do it if you were allowed.
and looking at the property, I mean, it's 90% rock, this.
Oh, my
septic
goodness
wise,
gracious, yeah.
What, you know, listen, you gotta have a septic system that,
I put in another one.
Yeah.
you don't have to.
Did anybody get a chance to go out there? To see it? Nobody went out to see it?
But we did see your,
Right,
photo-
every-
we didn't see your photographs, so we do have your photograph.
He
Well,
really
what-
tried to stick with the integrity of the area and all we're
So how would you like to proceed here?
With the two deck.
The two decks and the.
Application as submitted.
As submitted, okay.
So the one isn't even really a deck, it's a,
when you come back for the rest of this, maybe you wanna bring in, architect.
Understand.
It might help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're new at this.
can you tell?
When I did my electric, put 72 changed outlets, new outlets, just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Now you just wanna do that. No, just go with that.
Well, now,
Raise
no,
the
no, they're
photo.
doing the whole
Somebody's
thing,
taking-
Rich, they're doing the whole thing as is submitted.
As submitted, the boathouse being,
I think we can quantify an understanding for the height variance we're granting on the accessory structure. If we, like, from looking at the three elevations, we have an understanding of the max of that height being 28 feet and, right, compared to 18. So that's the max as opposed to the average calculated, which are ordinance. So with the filed application and these plans on file with the resolution, we would understand the height that we're permitting them to drop. If we're,
So they're asking for a height variance.
Yes.
Mhm.
it's an accessory structure, it's setback.
Yeah, I'm side eyeing Amy. I don't know.
board comfortable with.
Has anybody from the board have any questions of the applicant based on this application without covering putting the breezeway in where it's covered and finished?
I think we found the architect or engineer to clarify some of these wants and drawings. I'm confused. That's exactly what's like, I don't trust the dimensions, the heights on this drawings. I really don't.
For the deck?
Well, for the
No,
heights and
height.
everything.
Oh, for the height,
Height is
okay,
boathouse.
we're talking boathouse still.
I agree, because he just arbitrarily picked a spot. It's not 28
Well, he's
feet.
got a benchmark and so forth, but he's working over, but I'll let you have the architect present here to answer some of the questions.
I mean, because inside that boathouse, if you look at those photos, from the deck inside the boathouse, what do you have to the underside of those floor joints?
Well,
Well,
Yeah, it
12 feet.
looks a lot bigger than it is.
but now you step down into that boathouse. You step down about, yeah, that much.
Yeah,
So we're gonna say.
so could it, where those steel I-beams are, above that? Couple of steel I-beams of 12 feet?
No, I don't know what, well, the top of the steel beam is 13.6. That's why I wanted to go on top of the steel beam, 13.6, with a 12 button or 2x12. And then go up
13-foot ceiling in a boathouse.
12,
12-foot ceiling.
12 to the bottom of the roof.
To the bottom, that's-
pictures
that's-
number
that's
2 and
block
3.
Also, you know what I'm saying? You got 1, 2, looks like 3 courses of block on the, at the forward point, where that wood is sitting on the.
Wherever I measure, 12 foot. On to the bottom of that wood that I'm wrapping.
I mean, the architect seems to be proposing 8 feet on top of that and raising the existing roof. You can get an accurate understanding of the existing dwelling and you can add in the 8, but.
Is that what you're looking at doing?
Yeah, the numbers-
Have an architect address it.
On top of that.
It looks like a lot more than that.
What I wanna do is lift it from the roof. And put in, say, an 8-foot wall already pre-built, crane picks it. 8-foot wall gets slapped in, put it back down.
This is what he does for a living. That's stuff he's really good at. He did it
I'll
for our
have it
neighbor.
hopefully one day. I think I need a better understanding of this house,
For the boathouse.
with everything,
The
and just.
deck as well out front.
Your architect, should- yeah, your architect, should look at that.
Discuss the decks.
Well, that's probably around this, that's the smaller.
I think that's the reason for it. Yeah.
Build a deck.
That's what I said, approve the deck.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can piecemeal, I don't, we cannot.
So we can,
No, I think
we can withdraw a portion of the application.
you know what they want to do the deck without getting this resolved. It doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, the deck doesn't have anything to do with the boathouse, and
All right.
to be able to get the deck approved, we can get that in before the weather
But
gets
realize
cold.
that if we approve the deck, you gotta come back with a whole nother
That's fine.
application.
Yeah,
That's
we
fine.
got it.
I'm in no real hurry for the boathouse.
Yeah, the deck, if you're familiar with the property, there's no real access to go into the water to swim.
No place to
Or,
sit.
yeah, there's nothing. There's really not much because it's on a big rock. It's funny because Skip's family had left a picture of that whole area, including down by your house and all, before there was any houses. And it's really quite something to see how they did that all up.
My understanding is that you're asking if the application for the boathouse be withdrawn without prejudice and that the board's rule on the application.
Yes, please. But only if they're ruling favorably.
I've all seen the plans for the decks. Any questions of the applicant of the decks? No? All right, seeing none, from the board, I'd like to open this application to the public only for the decks. The deck portion of the application. Nothing about the house or the boathouse or nothing. Just strictly the deck. Anybody from the public who wants to comment on the decks?
Our neighbors, you just want to say how awesome it's gonna be and how great it's gonna
Yeah.
look.
Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board and wait for a motion. Joe, any questions on any comment? Okay,
I'll make a motion
This
on
is
the
just
deck.
on the deck.
just strictly on the deck.
Second on the deck.
There's no engineer recommendation for a deck or review or anything like that?
Their decks, not docks, right, because they're not.
They're on the ground, they're not on
Not
the
waterward, but they're as shown on the 2-page drawing.
Yeah, there is a drawing of.
Yeah, I see now.
And with standard deck detail and mounting foundations and so on.
All right, so we have a motion, I'll second.
Yeah. Motion is second.
Mr. Chirilla,
Deck only, yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Deck only.
Mr. Gabbard,
Yeah.
Ms. Crock.
Yes.
Deck only.
Chairman Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati.
Deck only.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Now, do you wanna ask for a waiver of memorialization so you can get started on it?
Yes.
Well, you gotta have to.
Can I get a waiver? Boris, the same memorialization, they get started.
On the deck only?
Yeah.
Deck only.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Chirilla,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Gabbard,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Councilman Kuzinich.
Yes.
Chairman Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati.
Yes.
Thank you, Robert.
Robert?
Get going.
Robert, next time, I think for tonight's application, I'll advise you to bring an attorney or the architect,
The
engineer.
Yeah.
Be much more helpful.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Have a
good night.
great night.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna open this meeting to the public for any comments or questions. Seeing none, close it to the public, bring it back to the board, and, wait for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks, Judy.
No correction pause?
He's always paying attention.
Yes.